Hey guys, thank you for visiting my channel, Medical Assistant with Miss K. My name is Kendra, aka Miss K. I've been a medical assistant since 2004 and a medical assistant instructor since 2011. And today I want to answer a quick question from the comments. It says, "Hi Miss K, I would love for you to make an updated video on tips to become a BLS instructor and create an LLC. I thought your previous videos were helpful and was wondering if you had anything new to add." Thank you for your question, Stephanie. Yes, I definitely have something to add, and I'm glad she left that question because I actually was thinking about doing an updated video anyway. So for those of you that don't know, in addition to working in the medical field, I'm also a business owner. I have several businesses, and being a CPR and first aid instructor is one of those businesses, okay? And I highly recommend it. Some of you guys are always asking, Ms. K, what are some other ways that we can make money as a medical assistant? And this is the number one thing that I usually recommend because it's easy to get into. You can make a lot of money and you already have clientele, okay? With some businesses, you have to find people. You got to go out and find people. When you are in the medical field already, becoming a CPR and first aid instructor, you're already working around other medical assistants, nurses, doctors who all need to be certified. So this is why I recommend this. So first of all, let me just say this. You don't necessarily need an LLC right away. If you have the money to create an LLC, sure, go ahead and do it. But I would rather you just go ahead and get started with the business, start making money, and then create an LLC when you actually have the money to do so. Now, how much it costs to create an LLC, it varies depending on where you are. So I can't really say how much it is, but it can be, fairly cheap, but it can be a little costly too, depending on what state you're in. So if you are interested in creating an LLC, and for those of you that don't know, an LLC is a limited liability company. It allows you to keep your business separate from your personal assets. So when you are in business, I do recommend eventually creating one, but right away, you don't have to. So I don't want that to stop anybody that's thinking about it, okay? So if you're thinking about it and starting and you're like, I don't necessarily want to do that right away, or I don't have the money, that's perfectly fine. Just get into the business. Now, as far as getting into the business, let's talk about that first, and then I'll discuss getting the LLC because it just kind of goes by state. But anyway, so if you're thinking about becoming a CPR first aid instructor, first of all, make sure you are already certified. AHA is what I recommend. Now, there's so many different, CPR organizations that you can get certified through, but AHA is one that is widely accepted everywhere, okay? Some of the other ones are accepted, but if you want to make sure you are always accepted and be on the safe side, go through AHA. So you want to go and you want to look for, and I'll leave the website below. It's atlas.heart. I think it's atlas.heart.org and atlas@heart.org. Either way, I'll list it in the description in the comments. So you want to find a training center near you, CPR training center near you that is AHA aligned, okay, that is under AHA. And you want to find out what their process is for becoming an instructor, see if they have any availability, any openings for instructors, and then they'll have you just, go online and do the online portion, and then the in-person portion, which is taking the class in person, and then most likely you'll have to be monitored teaching a class. You got to watch a class. So every training center is different. So that's why I say you need to find one first, and then they'll tell you what their process is. But I do know that it does require you to, watch a class and be monitored teaching the class as well. Once you become certified through them and align with a training center, and this is probably something you want to be already doing in the process of thinking about a name you want for your business. Now, one thing I recommend doing is searching on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, make sure it's not already a name. You want to go to GoDaddy.com. This is where you can get like your, your domain name for when you create your website, like your www. Whatever you want to name your business.com or .biz or .net. You want to search there, make sure it's not already taken. And then also you want to make sure it's not trademarked. So you want to go to that. And this may sound like a lot, but I will tell you, the worst thing you can do is to choose a name and it's already taken and then you got to change it. This happened to me in one of my businesses. I had a name and I had been using it for a few years. And this guy just happened to, we had mutual friends on Facebook, and our business was so similar, and he had his business longer, and he did let me know, hey, your business is infringing on my business. He said, I'm not going to take any legal action, but I would appreciate if you can change the name of your website. And I did. I didn't have a lot of things, using that name, so it was fine. It was easy for me, But for some people, it may not be that easy if you have already created t-shirts and logos and all of that using that name. So that's a big thing I would say. Make sure the name is not taken, especially you want to make sure it's not trademarked, because some names you can kind of make it your own. You kind of reuse it and make it your own, but if it's already trademarked, you cannot use that name. Another thing you want to do is look into getting flyers and business cards made. Once you get your name, you have your logo, you want to go back to GoDaddy that I mentioned before. You want to secure your domain name, because I will say, even if you don't have a website, if you have a name and you don't want anybody to take it, you want to hurry up and secure that name. So CPRbusiness.com, right? Or whatever your name is, just buy the domain. It's pretty cheap. They always give you a discount for that first year. So you want to buy your domain and already have that, okay? And then when you have your name and your website and all of that, you want to create your business cards. And you can create free websites really on Canva. You can look into Squarespace. You can look into Shopify, Wix. There's so many different ways you can create a website today. And another big thing too, I know I mentioned the flyers and business cards and stuff, but you want to also create content around CPR and first aid. You want to become the expert in your field. I can't tell you how many times I'm tagged on Facebook when someone is asking for a CPR and first aid instructor, because I've posted about it for so long, for so many years. I started that business in 2014, and I started posting about just different things about CPR and first aid. You can post things about the heart, and just different things that will bring you to people's attention when someone is looking for a CPR and first aid instructor. I have been successful in business. In 2025, I hit my first six-figure year as a six-figure earner, and it was all because of the fact that not only do I work, but I also have business outside of work. And as a medical assistant, you're kind of capped, right? There's not but so much you can make. And this is why I'm big on earning money outside of the clinic. And so I would say that the biggest reason why I was able to earn so much in my businesses is because of the content that I create. People look to me for certain things. And when you're already giving value for free, people don't have a problem with buying from you. If you're someone that's trying to promote a business and you're always just talking about buy this, get this from me, get this, get that from me, you won't necessarily be making the sales that you want. But if you're already creating content around it, you're already known as an expert. People are like, she's already given all of this free advice and it's so good. I can't even imagine what's in her paid content. So you want to create content. So in addition to having your business cards and your flyers, social media is the way to go. Content creation is the way of today. So you got to get into it, okay? Another important thing is getting business insurance. You do want to have some liability insurance, because if you are teaching CPR and first aid, and let's say somebody goes out and they try to do it on someone and they do it incorrectly, someone dies, they can say, well, this is the way, Kendra taught me and it didn't work. So you definitely want to have that liability insurance. Now, as far as creating an LLC, this varies by state. So you can look up how to create an LLC in your city and state, and you just go from there. Now, you will have to have what's called a registered agent. So for me, what I recommend and what I did and what I do when I created an LLC, it used to be called InkFile, but now it's called Busy. I'll leave it down below. But I use that website because they also become your registered agent. It's $99 every year for them to be your registered agent. The first year is free. At least that's what they were doing before. I'm pretty sure they're still doing that, but your first year is free. And then after that is $99 every single year. And what your registered agent does is they are pretty much like your address for your business. Like if you need to get something faxed or sent to your business, your registered agent can become that address instead of having your personal address listed under your business. Because if somebody goes and looks your LLC up, you have that registered agent address there instead of your business address.
For those of you who may be confused, or maybe you're a visual learner, I have an ebook where I go over everything that I'm talking about in this video. So if you're someone who needs to see these instructions in writing, check out this ebook. It's only $9.99. It's in my Stain store, so I'll link it below. It's a guide to help you figure out what type of business you want to start, and then I give you some easy steps on how to start that business. In addition to CPR and first aid, I talk about a scrubs business, mobile phlebotomy, creating courses, coaching, and all of that. I also give you a list of the tools that I use in my business that has helped me be successful. And I also briefly touch on budgeting and credit, because I believe if your personal finances aren't in order, you can't really make money in business.
There's some other things you have to do as well, but I'm going to do a separate video because I don't want to make this video too long. And also what I want to share, it goes for whether you have a CPR business or any other business. I'll do another video on that. Just some other things you want to do as far as like starting a bank account, your business address, and all of that. I'll do that separate. Again, make sure you're looking into your training centers, finding out if they're hiring for instructors, find out their process. You know, you want to look into your name, whatever name you want to use, make sure it's not already taken. One thing I didn't mention, but probably you already know, you're going to have to look into equipment. I have some in my Amazon store, so I'll leave a link to that down below. Also, if you want to create an LLC, I gave you, just the first couple steps, but I'll do a separate video on more of the business side of things. So hopefully this was helpful. To the young lady that asked this question, thank you. Hopefully this was helpful. Look out for the next video. It's not going to be just CPR first aid specific. It's just going to be business in general. After you create the LLC and all of that, and what else you need to do next. So hopefully this was helpful. Make sure you guys like the video if it was helpful. Comment down below if you plan on starting a CPR first aid business or another business. Let me know. I look forward to hearing from you. If you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe. Thank you for visiting my channel. Be blessed.